mighty dwarf kingdoms, long thought diminished, are resurgent under their high king.
Hello and welcome to another Total War Warhammer guide. Today we are looking at the Dwarfs, the Stunties, the Bearded Wonders. Nobody calls them that. It's the Lord and the Thane, two of your two big hero choices. We're going to go through the slight differences between the two. One's basically an upgraded version with a couple of more abilities, and then we're going to just muck about in a battle versus some poor Bretonians and talk about how you'd use them in battle. So here we go. Let's have a look at the look at that beard. How do you fight with that beard? It's ridiculous. I don't understand it. At least he's tied his back a bit. I love the look of the Thane more. I love the winged helmet there. So let's have a look at the Lord first. So he's armoured and shielded, meaning he's going to take less damage from missile and also take less damage from non-armour piercing weapons. He's also a melee expert, so that gives him a strong melee attack and defence. We'll go through the individual stats of him, and then he got a charge defense against all. A lot of dwarfs on the tabletop version. I never played dwarfs myself, but I faced them quite a lot. And a popular way of using them was like called a dwarf gun line, and basically it was just like all the good artillery and the missile troops, and they would just sit at the back of the board. You would have to charge forward, they whittle you down, and then eventually when you get to them, they're so solid and hard and they've got high leadership that they would just wear you down. They're really hard to play against, and this just goes for the Lord here. He's got a charge defense versus all, which is just fantastic. He's just waiting for it. He's just wanting the fight. Bring it, he's like. 3,336 hit points. I love the way they're so specific with these hit points. He's got 120 armour, so very heavily armoured. He's also got obviously the shield. He's got 75 leadership, which is just fantastic. Very slow. Obviously, that's the big part of the dwarf army. Apart from sort of the gyrocopters, they are very slow. Melee attack of 45, which is fantastic. Defense of 60, which is amazing. Weapon strength 420 hype. I'm so childish. 280 damage and 140 armor piercing damage. And it's got a pretty poor charge bonuses. Dwarves aren't really chargers, they're the chargees, as we talked about before. So let's look at his abilities. So this is missile resistance of 15%, as lots of individual characters have. Dwarfs don't use magic. They use what's called runes, but they detest magic. So they do have a magic resistance. Some of the characters, some of the units have a magic resistance of 25%. That's against magical attacks and like magic spells from wizards, etc. Really helpful. He's expert charge defense when we talked about before. When bracing, this unit negates the charge bonus of an attacker. So he's like, unit rights guard, bring it, bitch. He's fine with it. So he's got encourage like all leaders, so the boost to the leadership. He can hide in the woods. His first augment is called Deadly Onslaught, and it's basically just on himself, lasts for 10 seconds, and it gives him a charge bonus, armor piercing damage, and a vigor bonus. It's okay. He's not going to do a massive amount of charging. The armor piercing is nice, but he's already got a decent amount of that. It's not that useful. Next up, we've got a Foe Seeker. These are all the sort of standard a lot of heroes have, so that some of these don't really work that well with the dwarfs, I think. They've got the Foe Seeker, cast on himself, charge bonus, speed, and vigor. So they're very similar spells. One's armor piercing, one's a bit more speed. He's so slow, his speed isn't going to help that much. But the big one that is you use at all costs, and this is how you'd use in battle, is stand your ground, cast on himself and affects all allies within 40 meters, and it's a big boost to leadership, a massive boost to melee attack, melee defense. This is the single biggest reason for taking these high level characters into the battle, as well as being good fighty themselves. This is it, stand your ground. So let's look at the Thane. Yeah, loving that look. He's looking lovely looking shield as well. Fantastic models, just beautiful models. So he's the sort of downgraded version. So as you can see, he's armoured and shielded. He's not a melee expert, and he doesn't have that charge defense against all. He still has some abilities himself. So he's got 500 less hit points, same amount of armour, 5 less leadership, same speed, same melee attack, 10 less defense. His weapon strength is only slightly less, 375, and a charge bonus of actually slightly better, which is random. I don't know why they seem to be sort of armed the same, okay, but he's got a slightly better charge bonus. Oh, I know what it is. His beard isn't as long, so we can get stuck in a bit easier and run a bit easier, so that's probably why. Right. go. Let's just go with it. Just go with it. Right, so he has missile resistance, as we said before, the magic resistance, the encourage, that leadership boost. He can hide in the forest, and he has the deadly onslaught and the foe seeker. And these are the ones that are okay. You know, they're free abilities. I'm going to use them all the time because they're free, but just not that useful for dwarfs. So what he loses out on is the biggest plus for me. The stand your ground is just so absolutely fantastic, and he's got that charge defense. If I can, I'm always going to put the Lord in. I think he's a much better upgrade. I think the stand your ground is worth the money alone difference. Right, so let's have just a quick muck around battle against some Bretonians. What units did I pick? Oh, it's the old Spearmen. Hello, Spearmen. We're just going to charge them in. There's no real logic to this battle, but I just wanted to have something going in the background while we talk about how you'd use them. So these guys are both used the same, basically. Like I said, they're an upgraded version. Speedy, look how speedy they are. They're an upgraded version of each other. So what happens is you, as with most generals, stick them as part of your front line. What I tend to do, especially early on in the campaign, is I usually try and use my hero to go and fight the other hero, and then maybe send another unit on top of that, because early on those heroes are powerful, and I don't want them fighting with my units because they will destroy them. Oh, here's the charge. Ooh. So these two high-level characters should have a good fun time against these poor little spearmen. They're poorly armed to go against these characters. So let's just whack everything on. Let's just whack everything. We'll have a bit of that. We'll have a bit of that, and we'll just get overlapped. And it'll probably take them 20 minutes to win this fight, but they'll get there eventually. So like I said, I'd have them as centrally as possible, especially if you're using that Lord for that hold the ground, stand your ground even ability, because that is just it is a game changer. Imagine if it's a 40-meter range, so you can hit a massive amount of your army as soon as they get engaged. Bosh, leadership, melee defense, melee attack. That is tied the turn of battle. You know, that is really spectacular sort of stats. But obviously the passive leadership bonus is always useful for your main troops and stuff. You don't really want to send them on your own. I'd probably send them as part of my main force, but maybe to counter their enemy hero, or, you know, stuff like that. I don't see them as any point in wandering off, because if they're doing things on their own, they're just losing leadership. Oh, we've broken one unit. Yeah, those leadership bonuses are useless if they're wandering off killing some poor unit, and they're slow, so they need to be in the fight. Don't be too protective with them. Don't sort of hide them in the back line. They both want to get stuck in. They want to fight. They've got high armor, so they just want to as you can see here, just kill stuff. There you go, guys. There's my mini guide for the Lord and the Thane. Please check out my other videos. Let me know which character you prefer in the comments below. I think for me, like I said, definitely the Lord if you can afford him and you've got space for him. Thank you very much for joining me, guys. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.